Do you have a robot vacuum cleaner that just can't empty its dustbin? You may or may not have pets, but it's just really struggling to auto-empty the dustbin. Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad, and in today's video, I'm going to give you some recommended settings that I think we can help fix this. Now, it's not fixable on all robot vacuum cleaners, and even some of the best robot vacuum cleaners that I recommend will struggle with this if you have a lot of pets. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to fix if your dustbin will not auto-empty if it's clogging up. I do have an article written on my website, justadadapproved.com. It may be a little easier to follow the written article. I'm going to go over some settings here and some different things and explain it. But sometimes when you see it in writing, it's just a little easier to understand. So justadadapproved.com. On there, you'll see fixes and recommended settings and different things like that. So go check that out. That's where you can also find the robots that I highly recommend, like the Mova P10 Pro. Right now it's on sale for $399. That's an amazing price. This was my 2025 pick of the year. I absolutely love it. Now, what I have here is I have the Mova Z60. I first started seeing this on, there were some other robots that have this, but the Mova Z60 especially, and its dustbin. Now, I put this in here and made it look like this. I have videos where it actually did that, and I've seen this several times, but the robot actually does have a problem auto-emptying its dustbin. And so that's why the Mova Z60, it's got my Just a Dad sticker, but it doesn't have my Just a Dad sticker seal of approval. You may see it pop up here. It's a blue logo. The Mova P10 Pro does have my sticker. Now, if you have 3 huskies at home or 3 dogs, I don't know dog breeds a lot, but dogs that shed a lot, typically no robot's going to be able to handle that. But with some help from some viewers that have emailed me, and by me kind of thinking about this for a little while, I've come up with this procedure. And I think it's going to help. Even people with 3 huskies may be able to have a robot vacuum cleaner. We'll see though. But you have to start off with a good robot. That's where my Just a Dad sticker seal of approval. Again, if you go buy the Mova Z60 and you have 1 dog, it may not handle it. The Mova P10 Pro can handle 1 dog. It kind of struggles. Even the ones I recommend will struggle with 3 dogs. But so that's step number 1. And we're going to kind of explain this. And again, I have a written procedure. So, okay, I was looking for my drain snake. I don't have it. I forgot to order it, but I have one at home. It's like those orange things that have those little like things, grippers on it. So when you put it down a drain, it grabs the hair. That's what I recommend. So the first, we're going to methodically walk through this. You may just have an isolated problem. Again, this goes for all manufacturers of robot vacuum cleaners. Dreamy, Mova, Eufy, Narwhal, Roborock. They all can have this problem. This is not specific to some. So remove the dust bag. Now, once give these things a look. After when they start filling up, it is time to throw them away and replace them. But there's a duct that runs down from here down to where it auto empties. And with that snake drain, you're just going to run it down that. You may have a clog right here. So see, that should come. It should come right up there. There. So you should be able to run that snake through to make sure you don't have a clog in the base station. That's step number 1. You may have to do that once in a while. Okay, step 2. The first thing you should do is, if you still have your corded vacuum cleaner or a cordless, really good cordless vacuum cleaner upright, if you're new to robot vacuum cleaners, vacuum your home first. Give the robot a chance. Have it start with a clean home. You're going to have a much higher success rate instead of, I haven't vacuumed for a couple months, let's go buy a robot vacuum cleaner. Oh, let's throw it on the ground, map our home. Now, clean my home. I don't know any robot that's going to do that. If you haven't vacuumed your home for a couple months and you have a bunch of pets, all vacuum cleaners are going to struggle. That's not to say it'd still be a good robot for you. It's just, give the robot a head start by at least vacuuming your home and giving it a head start. Number 3, clean the dustbin filter. Okay, This may or may not help a whole bunch, but it is a tip and trick that we should be doing anyway, even if you're not having a clogged filter. Dustbins. Again, all robot vacuum cleaners vacuum your home. They all have a filter in. They call this the dustbin, and it's not auto emptying. They have a filter here. This filter, typically there's a timer in your app that says, oh, it needs replaced every 180 hours, 150. Well, that's when it needs replaced. It actually needs cleaned. And here's where you may have to clean this every day, depending on if you are the person that hasn't vacuumed your home and you just got a robot vacuum cleaner and you're having it vacuum your house every day, you're going to have to clean this every day. But once your house gets normal, then you can just have to clean this at least once a month or once every 3 or 4. It says every couple weeks. Even I don't do it every couple weeks, but I should. So cleaning this filter allows two things. It's going to increase the suction, so it's going to get this fuller. But what we're hoping is when the auto empty happens, they do have these ports that allow air to come in whenever it's sucking the dirt and debris out of the dustbin. With a clean filter, that's also going to help allow some more air in to help it suck the stuff out. So clean the dustbin filter. When you've got this open, when you got this out, check the trap door. I'll show you a more typical example. This is the Mova P10 Pro. This is my number one pick. Even it has issues. If you just have to stay on top of this stuff. This is the trap door that pops open and everything sucks out. You'll start to get hairs around this trap door, and sometimes it'll be stuck open. Sometimes this is a choke point for all of that stuff coming out. So you may have to make sure that trap door is free and unobstructed and the spring in it is still working good. There's also sometimes a trap door on the opposite side that lets air into the dustbin. This is what lets the stuff out. That's a trap door. And again, a lot of times there's a place for another trap door. Okay, number 4, increase the auto empty settings. This is going to be different for every robot, but in your app, like for Roborock, Dreamy, Mova, Eufy, Ecovacs, I don't think Eufy, maybe they do. They're all just a little bit different in this area. You can set how high this will suck the stuff out of the dustbin. So when a robot docks, another vacuum kicks on inside the base station and it sucks everything out into the dust bag. They have settings for that. I wish they didn't because typically the default is a lower setting. I want that as high as possible, and I want the frequency as high as possible. Let me start with the setting high. I see why they may not do that. If you have a small home and the dustbin's not going to be super full all the time, they are noisier when it's on higher suction. And some robots have really really noisy base stations. Typically the ones I recommend, there's the ones I recommend with justadadapproved.com. These aren't super noisy base stations that when they auto empty. That's actually one of the tests that I performed to make sure it's not like, but so make sure that settings on the high, like we want as much suction as possible. You think that would be common sense to leave that on all the time, but sometimes there are settings, and I get that, that they may not want it as loud. So also then there's the frequency. Again, I wish that was always on high, but they have low, medium, and high. They call it different things. If you have pets, if you don't. With that being said, in the app, if you have a little button that says, I have pets, make sure you turn that on. That does kind of click over some of these advanced settings. Not all of them have it. They're all a little bit different. But so how often do I want the robot to go back to the base station in the middle of cleaning and auto empty the dustbin? I've never thought this to be that big of a deal. I want it to go back as often as possible. Now, there's also settings on how often it goes back and washes the mop pads. That will use a lot of water. So I can see why you want to fine tune that. But if it's just got to travel from where it was. It just travels. It does a really good job of traveling. It travels back. It sucks everything out. Then it continues on cleaning. If we can turn that up as high as possible, that's going to help get that before this gets too impacted. It's going to help suck everything out. So increase the auto empty settings, both of them. Sometimes they have to, sometimes they don't. Okay, this is probably a big one, and this is something I've learned just after doing this for 2.5 years and purchasing over 250 robot vacuum cleaners, is take your time when the robot maps your home, when you first get it, take your time editing the map. And you may have to go back and edit it some more, and that's okay. I have a large living room, kind of an open concept in my living room. It's a lot of carpet. The dog hangs out there a lot. And when I map my home, I make that one big room. You may want to, this is actually what I'm recommending. If you have a bunch of pets, and if it's an active area for pets, even though that's a large room, and when it first maps it, it may say, oh, I found this big room, and here it is. Divide that room up into smaller rooms. It's okay. It'll make a line where it's not where you think the room is, but divide that room up into smaller rooms. Now, this is going to be a key part. After you've done, if everything's working okay and you have a good robot. Again, you have a bad robot, none of this stuff, none of these things helped the Z60. It's just a bad robot, a bad design for auto emptying with pet hair. So this is the number one thing for robots with pets, making smaller rooms. Now, you have to do step 2. If you make a bunch of small rooms, but you still have it clean your entire home all in one schedule, that might help a little bit. Here's where the real key comes in, and it's going to be more work for you, but we're used to it. We have pets. We're used to more work, right? You're going to have to go in and schedule each one of those individual rooms individually. I know it's time-consuming, complicated, but anyway, trust me. So I have a big living room. I'm going to divide that up into 4 rooms. I'm going to have it clean one of those rooms at 9 a.m. I'm going to have it clean the second part of that room at 11 a.m. I'm going to have it clean the third part of that room at 4 p.m. What I'm doing here is I'm allowing enough time so that when it goes and cleans that room, it's going to automatically auto-empty at the end. If it's a big room, you're relying on the settings of, I want it to auto-empty a bunch. But they always, not always, some of the early Roboroks wouldn't, and Narwhals do it at the beginning of the job, which that's a whole nother video. So whenever it cleans that small room starting at 9 a.m., it's going to go clean it. Even if it's a big room, and it may go auto-empty in between before it's done, I doubt it. But at least at the end of that cleaning, it's going to auto-empty for sure. So then we gave it enough time. Now it's going to go and clean the other room. We don't want to get conflicting schedules. It's going to go clean that other room. It's going to go clean it, auto-empty. This is where it's going to get tricky. But you've got all week to get your home clean. So one day have it do the living room, spread that living room up into 4 times. And I think this is actually going to work. Let me know what you think in the comments, because a lot of people have pets, and this is probably the number one thing. People want to know what is the best robot for pets, which there are some that help, but there's not one pet robot. But this is going to help people that have pets that can purchase robots for $400 all the way up to, actually there are vacuums that do help a lot with pets. Like we got the split brush dual roller design compared to this right here. You'll get hair wrap and hair clogs. This is actually, but this is an $750 robot. It's on sale right now. Mova V50, 2025 pick of the year. So this schedule is just going to be super important, little time consuming. You may have to judge it a little bit. Have it go clean one section of one room one day, one section of another room later in the day. I think that's going to be key. Now, here's the thing, and that's where I says, and again, I've got this written down step by step on my website, justadadapproved.com. Schedule individual rooms cleanings. Yeah, this is divide it up, schedule, and then monitor it for a week. If you have pets and you've had this problem, figure out where the problem's coming from. Devote your first week of this new schedule to checking this dustbin. It can sometimes it can throw auto empty off. But if you suspect that it's clogging in this one room, go check. Pause it, open it up, and see, oh, okay, yeah, it's pretty full. I don't think it's going to win. Or check it after it auto empties that room. And see, that's probably the best thing. I just figured this out now. Since you've got these small rooms, take some time, monitor this situation, and after it cleans that small room, say the small section of the living room, it's going back to the dock. Oh, I just heard it auto empty. Go check the robot before it goes and does the other room. That way, having those schedules, you're not going to interrupt it. And that way you can kind of see, you may have to divide that room even smaller, especially around a pet bed. So monitor it for a week. I think you can fine tune this. If things get too crazy with the map, you can just remap your home. I've had to do it. I get the settings off, and sometimes I just have to these things are awesome. You just can reset them and start fresh. Step 8, homes with pet need different settings. And that's where I've kind of said if it's got the pet setting, turn that on. But this also, I'm kind of reading my notes here, clean the filter more often. First of all, start with a robot. You can see my Just a Dad approved sticker. If it's got that sticker, seal of approval, you're at least starting with something that is capable of cleaning homes with pets. Again, I don't know exactly how much fur or whatever's on the ground, and some robots, even with this procedure, are going to struggle. But I do think this is going to help with the buds. This has been a collaborative effort. I've had several people email me. I get a lot of emails. I read them all. A lot of them are asking, what's the best one to buy, and they have these special circumstances, and I try to help. And that's where my new website, I can't wait for it. It's been a long time in the making. In fact, I've had to start all over because the first company I just wasn't getting anything done with them, so I actually had to fire them. And I've got it's a bigger company that because I've got so much information that I want to give you, and it's going to be so easy for you to find a robot vacuum cleaner. I don't want to say too much, but it's going to be quick and easy questions like, does your home have pets? Do you have hardwood floors? Do you have carpet? Like, it's going to walk you through and it's going to give you my recommendation that I think is going to actually be really, really good. So you don't have to dive into the weeds. You can trust that if it has the Just a Dad sticker seal of approval, it's passed my at-home test. I didn't feel like I wanted to throw it out the window. It's doing a good job of cleaning with these settings that I'm constantly making videos on, trying to help people. We can get really, really good robot vacuum cleaners. And these are the robots that I recommend to my friends and family. I've recommended this one the most because most of my friends and family still think of robots as Roombas. And I'm like, Roomba's just not it anymore. Wow, that's going to be a mess. That's my Roomba. Good thing I don't use it anymore, but it did survive. It is built really well. Also my smart speaker. Fun times. This has been the one I've recommended the most, the Mova P10 Pro. It's just a great jump-in point. You can buy cheaper robots. There's $200 robots. If you want a vacuum-only robot, this is what I recommend for people with pets, the Dream D20. It comes with a mop pad. Don't install it. It's a terrible mop, but it's a great vacuum. So while you don't have the mopping capabilities, at least it's got this new technology with this dual brush roller line. This works for the most part. We do get some clumping with pets. If there's a lot of hair on the ground, you may get little clumps of hair, I've seen. But the Dream D20, again, on my website, justadadapproved.com. And on my website, you'll see tips and tricks for the Mova P10 Pro and other robots. I do recommend upgrading. This is the standard brush. I recommend upgrading to the tri-cut brush if you have pets. It helps with cutting the hair. The tri-cut brush actually cuts the hairs so they don't wrap around the brush roller. Roborock has some really good features. So these manufacturers I think they're listening. They're trying to help us for people with pets. That's what this Roborock's design is, a little bit different, and Eufy's kind of following this design. It's the split brush dual roller where it's split in the middle. These are fluted. The long hairs are going to be directed to the middle, and then they get sucked in. This works pretty good.
Someone was detected at the front door.
Okay, I completely lost my track of things. There's somebody come at the front door. But again, check out justadadapproved.com. Let me know what you think of this. If there's any other problems you're having with robots, this is probably my #1 question I get. Best robot vacuum cleaner for pets. Yeah, I was talking about even with, again, Roborock thinking they're trying to help people with pets. Even this design struggles with pet hair. It's not a just end-all be-all. Even with the most advanced robot that they sell, I think you're still going to have to do these tricks if you want this robot to work with pets. So again, justadadapproved.com. I really do appreciate it. If you could check out that website. And again, I do use links. So if you purchase anything that I've talked about in this video or in the description, I am an Amazon affiliate. If you click on that link, the product's not going to cost you anymore, but I do earn a small commission from the sale. Again, I buy these robot vacuum cleaners with my own money, and this is home of the honest review. I can say whatever I want about these robot vacuum cleaners. I'm not held by any manufacturer. And again, these are the ones that I personally recommend to my friends and family. Because guess what? If I recommend them an iRobot Roomba, they're going to be calling me going, what's going on? This thing's nothing but a hassle. But when I recommend this, they're not calling me. It's actually a good robot. So again, thanks everybody. Check out justadadapproved.com.